Find out what it's like to experience the world from above. Fly your own drone today. DroneCloneExperts.com specializes in high-quality, affordable drones. Now introducing their Limitless 2 model, equipped with a 4K camera for stunning Ultra HD clarity, GPS with precision auto return, and up to 25 minutes flight time on a single charge. Visit DroneCloneExperts.com now and enter promo code RADIO to receive 15% off your entire order. That's DroneCloneExperts.com.
Hey, this is Joanna Going. I'm Kristina from Kingdom, and you're listening to Verbal Shenanigans.
But our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really. Evil shenanigans.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
All right, hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, hello, and welcome back to Verbal Shenanigans. This is Nice Mike. This is our third time trying to start the show because my microphone died, or cable died, or something died twice. So third time's a charm.
Yeah, the irony is you keep on trying to find ways to kill my mic, but in the end, I keep on fighting back and making sure I make every episode.
But, no.
This week...
You misinterpreted. I've been trying to find ways to kill Mike. To kill Mike, not.
Oh, that would explain that guy in my front yard around 2 a.m. with a rifle. That explains it. I was looking at him. I'm like, honey, this is weird. Come see this. And, we were staring at him. But, we were going to invite him in for coffee, but he just, pointed at me, and then he pointed at the gun, and then he walked away. So I guess he'll be back later in the night. I don't know.
I will say, word of advice for anyone to listen, do not hire your assassins through Groupon. It just the quality is just not there, and it's a problem.
Yeah.
Clearly, it didn't work yet again, and Mike's still here.
Yeah, the people on there, that's just, the deals are too good to be true. I gotta be honest with you. He even yelled at me, "Hey, by any chance you got any ammunition?" I couldn't afford any.
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Sorry, bro, I don't carry any." So, and then he yelled at me, "Hey, can you drink this poison?" I'm like, "No, I'm not really that thirsty right now." And it was just very awkward. And then he's like, "I'm gonna get such a bad review on Yelp."
Yeah, we were saying right before this that. We took Labor Day off like good human beings do and good Americans do, right? America, it's our holiday. But we've been, during COVID, we've been putting out a ton of episodes. We were doing 2 a week for probably 4 months straight. So we're dialing it back. We're going back to 1 a week, and we got plenty of really cool interviews coming out. But we took a week and a half off, or probably not even, but it feels, Mike, like I haven't seen your mug in a while, so it's good to be back here.
Well, I'm sorry, man. I mean, technically when we don't record a show, you could call me.
No, that's definitely not a thing.
No, I'm pretty sure. I looked up I googled podcast laws, and there's apparently no laws, so you could call me.
Bro, you don't really want to get into podcast law. It's very tricky, very contractual. There's a lot of things that you might not understand. You got to remember, I've been doing this for 16 more episodes than you, so I'm pretty much an expert at this point.
Oh, I forgot. Not only are you the veteran of the Verbal Shenanigans podcast, but that you actually went to college specifically for laws of podcasting. I forgot about that.
Isn't it weird that this form of media wasn't even around when we were in college? It's still so brand new. They had the first couple podcasts maybe 10, 12 something years ago, but really it's just kind of exploded in the last 5 years or so, as far as everyone knowing. Still everyone doesn't know exactly what a podcast is, which is pretty amazing. But you see the Rogan type deals, but it is pretty amazing. When I went to school, it was still all radio and Sirius and XM were around at that point. That was kind of the new hot thing.
Was there like a Friendster, a podcast, like the initial thing where people were like, "Woo, look at this," and then it had to grow into what podcasts are today?
I think like podcast, quote unquote, I use quotes, air quotes. I think they were more like people just essentially putting out audio onto their own websites. Like it wasn't as much as like there was an app for like, an RSS feed that just goes right into your phone or anything. I mean, even the phones didn't really have it. So as far as being a form of media, it's still relatively new and still has. Now, there are thousands and thousands and thousands, but I guess you could say that about anything. There's thousands of TV shows and thousands of movies and thousands of bands, and there's always ones that still find their way. So,
I mean, that was very learned of you to tell me about that. Clearly, you are, if I get into podcast jail, I will be calling you to save me,
Listen,
didn't you try the podcast Roe versus Wade?
I told you can't call me. It's contractually part of your contract that you signed early on. But anyway, everybody, enough of the BS. Welcome to the Verbal Shenanigans podcast. We are a weekly podcast. That's Mike, and I'm Scott here. And we basically we like to banter about life a little bit before we get to our guests, but we always bring on very unique guests. And today is no different. If you tuned in last week, we had Joe Daddy Stevenson, who had a really amazing UFC career, MMA career, and has now resurfaced on Kingdom, which Kingdom has also resurfaced on Netflix. And if you like Kingdom, we have another Kingdom guest today, which we'll get to in just a few minutes here. But Mike, we got a lot of listens coming in internationally lately. A lot of listens.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really. Other than the United States, our top fans coming from Germany.
No. I mean, I'm half German, so clearly, like the Berlou side of Germany, all are tuning in. The blasting I put out there is unreal. So thank God, I got friends in German places.
I got friends in German places. Worst song ever. And then, surprisingly, after Germany, the Ukraine, I know you're not supposed to say the Ukraine loving us. The big, powerful 22 listens in the last month from Ukraine.
But you brought up a good question. How many countries can say "the" in their name?
I mean, I didn't bring up their question. But the United States, is it the United Arab Emirates or is it just United Arab? I don't know, Mike. But
can I say I'm going to the Canada?
You can say it. The looks you might get and like the people that might correct you might get a lot of that. But
you know what? It sounds like a new thing that I can get trending. So that's the thing. I'm going to make T-shirts that say "The Canada" on it.
You go ahead and do that. That goes right in the column of a lot of your other good ideas.
I'm going to make this work. I mean, I guess there's like the Bahamas. There's that.
That's true. Then after the Ukraine, the India, we got a couple listens there. And then after that, we got the United Kingdom. So we welcome to those of you abroad and here to the Verbal Shenanigans podcast. So
have we got any listeners back from Nigeria from that small strain from Kristina Okoye, out of curiosity?
I thought it was was it Nigeria or was it Kenya?
Well, is it a Nigerian nightmare?
Oh, Nigeria. Yeah. We got like a ton of followers from Nigeria. We got a bunch of listens from Nigeria. I guess I don't know. Maybe he's like their, their J-Lo. Like everyone knows them over there, or someone in that. I don't know who would be up. The Rock. He's up there where is a household name. So maybe Christian Okoye is that name over there. I would.
Maybe that's how we increase our international countries. We just send emails to, hey, the India, who's your Rock? Can you point us to the Rock?
It'd be great if you went on an African safari, like you went on a vacation, and all of a sudden you look over and your tour guide's wearing Verbal Shenanigans shirts, and they're like, like everyone's really, really overly nice to you, and you can't quite figure out why. And they realize they recognize you from the show, and you're just like a big star over there, but they, you just didn't know.
Well, I feel like our T-shirts in foreign countries is kind of like the losing Super Bowl teams T-shirts getting shipped over there. It's nothing to brag about. They're happy. They get free clothing, but at the same time, it's like, no, we're not into you.
Maybe that's what I need to do with all these extra T-shirts I have. Just ship them to a third world country, and all of a sudden we start to grow there. I think that's guerrilla marketing right there.
Yeah, like stapled to the tag, are links. Maybe put like a little pamphlet in there with some of our previous guests. We'll try to figure out if some of them are from like a foreign country, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And
this is
I think that's how we build. I think the American tribe was it was a cute attempt, but at the end of the day, I feel like Lesotho. I feel we could take over that country.
Yeah, you're not wrong. This is up there with the putting Verbal Shenanigans stickers on bears, like we were talking about the other day, like with the Trump stickers. They were on bear collars. So maybe we just got to really start. I mean, we were talking before the show about different ways to maybe redo some of our social media and redo some of, just redirect a little bit, as you should every so-and-so. Maybe this is the key. We just start shipping nonstop Verbal Shenanigans shirts to people who don't ask for them.
Yeah, and I'm going to go on my social media and go hashtag the Canada, and we'll get that streaming, and before you know it, it'll be international superstars. I feel that's how easy it is. It sounds like the plot to like a Disney movie where they really didn't think it out, and they just go, no, they'll just use the internet, and they'll get famous.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty, I don't know. If you, like... Speaking of famous, like if you were like to choose a level of fame, like if you could, like, say we achieved some sort of fame through something, maybe you get it through your Michael Burlew random stuff page. All of a sudden people start pouring in. You're like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. And for some reason you just blow up. And like, what level of fame would you be comfortable with? Like, I know personally, I can never deal with like the upper echelon of fame where you need like, basically like where paparazzi's all over you, everything you do is like, I don't even want that. There's nothing enticing about that to me.
Yeah, wearing disguises just to go to like the grocery store, no, would not be like that.
Like The Rock, like we were just saying, is a perfect example. Too famous, man. Like, and he's just so big and like both physically and metaphorically, like he, like, exactly who that is when you see him. Not too many guys look like him.
Yeah, he can't just put on a wig and just go to the local cow door. No, he would need like something like crazy outfit. Like he would probably have to do like those fat suits that they do in some of the movies, like Norbit.
Yeah, pick like a couple hours to get ready just to go shopping. Like, sounds like I could. That nothing about that sounds fun. Nor would I ever want that. So I was trying to think of like a person, like fame level that you would be comfortable with or want to achieve.
Okay, I got you. I'm trying to like. It would have to. I would like to have like a mid-level kind of deal where it's like I'll probably make like 6 figures, maybe on a good year, a little low in the 7 figures, and like people will look at me. It's like, I think I remember you for something. It's on the tip of my tongue, but it won't be like the instantaneous, wait a minute, you're famous.
So you'd like to be like one of those guys that everyone sees in a movie. He's like, oh, he was in something else. What's his name? They got to Google you a little bit.
I guess like a good example was our guest Larry Hankin.
Okay.
I mean, constant career for many decades. Like you see him on TV, he's like, that guy, I remember him from like Friends or this or that. But like he can go out shopping and nobody's like stopping him from like moving.
Yeah.
Maybe like 1 or 2 people are like, hey, are you? And get like a quick selfie with them, maybe an autograph, but at the end of the day can pretty much get through their day.
Yeah,
like,
could do local podcasts, like no problem. Yeah. You can still be scheduled to do whatever you want.
Yeah, like if I could go in a day and the most people that like come up and stop me is like around 4 or 5, I think that's the perfect fame level.
Yeah, I think you want to be at that fame level where like you could still do like all these independent projects and just put stuff like your own content out where there's not like this big explosion and like every time you put something out, there's not like tweets about like you want like your followers to kind of get it and then gain some new ones, and every once in a while kind of have like a big boom, like, oh, he's so funny. I love him. Like when I thought about this question before, I was thinking about Jim Brewer, my personal favorite comic, right? Mm-hmm. Very famous, had his SNL, he had his moment in the sun, SNL, but he's actually more respected as a stand-up comic over the years, and he goes and he'll sell out shows. They got to add 2 shows. Everyone knows he's an amazing comic, but yet he's able to live right over where you used to live, Mike, over in Chester, right next to you, Chester, New Jersey. He's the kind of guy, right? If he put on a ball cap, like a Mets hat, and just kind of went to the store, who's stopping him? A couple people. Hey, Jim, what's up? And he's got that personality. Like, hey, what's up, man? And like that's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean that's the perfect amount, and then add to it like. If you feel like doing something like that's not your usual norm, and if it fails, like nobody's screaming, "Oh, look what blah blah did," and all. I mean, they had their career, and look, their career's dropping or something like that. You can play around, do whatever you want. Like nobody's going to do it. Like at best, it'll be like a podcast interview question where like, "Well, what about that?" Well, I tried something out, didn't work.
Yeah, I was also thinking like Rob McElhenney from Always Sunny. Now, he's obviously known, but he's got one of the biggest shows of all time, right? As far as length and whatever. But I feel like he could probably walk the streets no problem, and I feel like he gets a ton of big projects because people knows that he can write, and he's very funny, and he can direct. So I feel like he's not like a household face, but people go, I know him from somewhere. Like, I know that guy,
it's probably a very good one. The people who make money doing voice acting, like The Simpsons, or like
what's the main guy from The
series
Simpsons?
because
Frank.
Because most
what the main guy from The Simpsons that does a ton of voices?
Dan Castorella, is it? I mean, there's a few of them that do a ton of voices. Hank Azaria.
That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean. He does like regular movies from time to time. He's got all that, and they change their voice so much. It's not their just talking voice. So they're famous. Maybe a few people actually know like what their regular face looks like, but you can pretty much anywhere you can go, maybe outside of a Comic-Con, just walk around and nobody's going to bother you. You're not gonna have to worry about I got paid security. I don't have to worry about stalkers or anything. Like nobody's stalking the voice from Rick and Morty. Okay,
right?
It just doesn't happen. All they have is fans. That's it. You don't have to worry about stuff like that. So that's the fame I want to be.
Yep. Let's use this as a transition because I think we're gonna get our guest on here. Now here's a woman that I can see becoming a household name after her performance here. So that was a good transition.
Ooh.
Usually it's like we're talking about like some weird dream we had, and then we're like, and now we have the world's
Speaking of exploding monkeys.
So Joanna Going is coming on the show. Now that might not be a household name as of yet, but if you watch her on the show Kingdom, you might see a theme here over this month or so. She knocks it out of the park with a very deep, dark, but also very bubbly at the same time character that goes through some amazing twists and turns and whatnot. And she gave us a really phenomenal interview. She's been in a bunch of different TV shows, from Mad Men to, like I said, Kingdom, and the list goes on and on and on. But I could see her getting some big roles coming up soon, and especially after people get their eyes on the show. So, without further ado, here comes Joanna Going, who plays Kristina on Kingdom. Let's get her on the line.
Boom.
First up, Joanna, thanks so much for joining us. It's a real pleasure to talk to you. I feel like I found I found Kingdom maybe a month ago, and I watched it, and then I kind of started rewatching a little bit because I knew we were interviewing you, and we had Joe Daddy on, and we had Byron on, so I kind of wanted to like almost double dipping me. So I feel like we've been hanging out for months. That's what that's what I'm saying. But we appreciate you for coming on for a few minutes. Where are you at right now during this whole
I'm in Los Angeles in the Valley.
So is pretty much everything still just shut down there, or?
Yeah. I mean, there's things have lightened up a little, but we're under orders. Like no schools are opening. Things like that. I mean, they don't want you to gather. They want you to stay home. I pretty much stay home.
Yeah. Well, we've been at, the pandemic has been obviously awful for everybody, but for the podcast, it's been pretty cool because I feel like we've gotten a lot of interviews, which we usually are ones that we don't get normally, but we've been doing so many of them, and bands and artists and musicians. And one of the things we constantly are asking these artists is kind of how have you handled your time during the pandemic, like creatively, because a lot of times, you're trying to either work on your craft or working on a movie, but all this is kind of shut down. How do you, as an actress, kind of, with kind of nothing going on, keep yourself occupied and stay sharp acting wise?
I don't really. So I may be quite dull by now. I don't know. I just did a tape audition this morning. It takes me and my daughter hours to do it because I'm like, no, we got to do it again. Do it again. But I've taken the time to, I don't know, do things that I don't usually do, like, garden.
Right.
I haven't been able to, plant vegetables or anything because I'm usually working in the summer. So I go away a lot. So I've been doing that. I've been just, like digging around in the dirt in my yard and baking things. I do the sourdough thing. And early on, I was making lots of jams because I have some fruit trees. So I was doing that a lot. Yeah. So just sort of housekeeping things. I've kind of I've kind of run out of things now, but I was kind of living out my little house in the prairie dreams. I was like out there in the garden farming, and I was like making the jam.
Yeah. I feel like
cleaning and ironing, and
I feel like that was the first 2 months of the pandemic for everybody. It was like, I'm reinventing myself. I'm doing all these things I put off forever, and then like, by month 3, it's like, oh my God, I want to do the stuff I love or I'm good at, it does become draining after a while. So hopefully there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
Around the June time frame, everybody was uninventing themselves to, I'm bored. Let me just watch some TV.
All their plants are dead and their jams are spoiled,
Yeah, it got so hot here in the valley that, I had to let the tomatoes go. I mean, I had to stop watering things. My water bill was insane.
So, Joanne, you're one of 6 kids. Did you just get into acting just so you can get out of the house out of curiosity, so you can have a own bedroom or something?
Well, I don't think that's why I got into acting, but we used to do, when we were kids, we would do shows and stuff for my parents. But what got me really into acting was doing it with amateur theater companies in Newport, Rhode Island, which was there was quite a vibrant theater community there when I was a kid, and so I got involved with them, and my high school didn't have much theater, didn't really have theater at all. So doing that is what, and it was the community of it that really drew me into it.
So now, I kind of found you through Kingdom, and then kind of backtracked and looked at some of the things you did, but I guess we have to start at Kingdom. It was recently released on Netflix, and for me, it was I watched the first 2 episodes, and it was like, okay, I'm not gonna stop watching this until it's over, kind of. And it seems you're starting to see it. You're starting to see that pop up on Facebook, and I see friends, hey, did you see this show? And Facebook groups popping up. We talked to Byron, and one of the big things was the show was on a network that honestly no one knew existed, and which may have worked for him being left alone for his creation, and you guys to kind of really push all sorts of boundaries and limits. But, as far as people watching it, which is also super important, it kind of, but now it has this second life almost. How did you get cast for the role, and how did you get into that?
It was just a regular audition. I was actually shooting a film in LA at the time. It was a very low budget film, and I was in every scene of that movie, and it was very intense. So I actually got this audition came in, and I didn't really put a lot of weight on it because, whenever there's nothing better than an actor with a job. It's the most relaxed auditions you will ever go on because, hey, I got a job. So, but I read the script, thinking like mixed martial arts. I don't know anything about that. All I know is that I think I don't like it, and cage fights and I started reading it, and it was a page turner, and I fell in love with the characters, and the writing was just jumping off the page, and I really loved the character of Jay, and it was a while till Kristina came in, because on that first episode she comes in at the end, and there's just a teeny little bit, and that's all I saw going into the audition.
Wow.
But I just felt like this writing was amazing, and these characters, and I want to be Jay's mom, and so I went in, but I was very relaxed, which probably worked for junkie Kristina, and I read for Byron, and a little while later I was cast.
Now, so you see that little bit, you're a junkie in the first, pilot episode and whatnot. But did you have any idea where your character went into some deep, dark places? For those of you who haven't seen the show, Joanna's character goes into drugs and prostitution and raising a son and, trying to connect with. There's a lot of places it goes. Like, were you prepared to dive into a role that deep? And if not, what kind of preparation goes into taking on something so heavy?
Well, I didn't know where it was going to go. Like I said, I signed on just based on that first script. I had no idea what was going to happen. And then we did the deal, and then I had dinner with Byron, and he kind of, fleshed out a few things about her. And, but I don't think Byron even had planned to have Kristina as much and involved as she became. But so no, I think if it had been a film and I had read from beginning to end, I might have been like, oh my God, I can't do that. But I was so grateful to Byron, for seeing that in me. I don't know if it's a compliment or not that he saw that in me, but it really was the best challenge that I'd had as an actress, and it was the most fulfilling part that I've had. And I love to do a lot of research, so I love diving into the research, both in heroin addiction and prostitution. So I did a lot of that, and so I love to, come up with all kinds of toys. And then, the character develops. The way Byron works is he's very inclusive of the actors, and we would have lots of conversations, and he would kind of go away and write things and sort of take little bits and pieces from you, and work them into the show. It's not like I can point to something and say, oh yeah, that's me.
Right.
But he would take the essence of it and work it into her, and really, he got to know the actors and then wrote for the actors.
Yeah.
Tell us about your relationship with Jonathan Tucker. Did you just hit it off with him right off the bat? Because he just the back and forth between you two are amazing. I'm in season 2, episode 9. I just came off the episode where he found your drugs and took some of his own. That was a crazy intense scene. So I'm just kind of curious, did you just like knock it off the bat with him, or do you guys have to kind of work to build that kind of gelling?
And I will stop you right there. We had a fan question that's very similar, so I will give a shout out to a Kingdom fan, Jenaline Newman. Her first question was, what is Jonathan Tucker like to work with? So it kind of ties into this question.
Jonathan Tucker is astounding to work with. He's incredible. And we sort of hit it off in an unspoken way right from the start. The very first scene I shot with him, the very first thing I shot was that drive up in the first episode. And that was kind of insanity because it was the middle of the night and they rushed me to set and, we hardly spoke. And we'd hardly spoken at that point. But then once we got into the third episode where we have a little more to do with each other, we sat down in a diner. It was a diner scene. And we started working that scene and I was like, whoa. He is raising the bar. He is, I just was like, I have to, do some work to match him. And I think we had a great respect for each other from the get-go. And we just kind of took each other's hand and went into that. And we committed to the relationship. And then, as we got to know each other, we grew closer and we adore each other off screen too. But I think it was, we didn't talk it out a lot. Mm-hmm. It was so much was there in the material, and that if you just committed to the material, and he'd do all sorts of things on set. I mean, he's a live wire. You never quite knew what he was going to do. So he would keep me on my toes.
Yeah. I mean, if you watch the show and obviously the script writing is great. The production's great. The, director's great, but it comes down. So the casting is just from one character to the next, from you to Frank to Jonathan to Keith's character. It's just everybody is just putting in like amazing work, and it's so cool to see. Is when you're working on a show like that it's just chock full of actors and actresses that are. They're known, but they're so talented. Are you guys just all like, does it become a family unit? Does it become like you guys are raising the bar together? Because that's what it seems like. It just seems like, from episode 1 to season 3, episode 10, it just seems like you guys keep raising the bar as far as your characters. And it feels like the viewer could actually feel you discovering your characters through the show.
Yeah, we were very tight. We were a very tight group. I mean, some tighter than others because I was much older than the guys, but I think their bond came out of. I'm talking Tucker and Matt and Nick. They all did fight camp together,
right?
So that, and they also, I know Tucker and Matt knew each other before because they were on Parenthood together. So, but, they all bonded before we even started going, through the brutal, training that they all did. But, you would shoot your part and, I would never be around when Frank and Keely were shooting something.
Right.
And then we'd, watch the episodes week by week and you're just like, oh my God, I mean, it was just like so thrilling to see what everybody was doing. And that did sort of like, make you so proud to be a part of it. And, we had a great time together. Whenever we were all together, it was great and fun when we were doing press or things like that. We enjoyed each other a lot. And we miss each other a lot.
Don't worry, it's gonna come back. I feel it. I feel it. I feel it in my bones.
Now, you've done quite a few like dramas, and you've been on Mad Men, you've been on House of Cards. Like, tell us about the set when you're on these high-profile shows and all. Are you able to be relaxed, or are you always kind of be in the moment of the scene because of the high drama and all these kind of shows?
I definitely say the latter. When you're, coming into a show like that is a train that's, been rolling down the tracks at high speed. You just kind of come in, know your part, know your lines. You got to just get in there, deliver. You don't have time to become, really chummy with people. They're all a working, well-oiled machine.
Right.
And so when you're doing these guest parts, you're kind of like, you got to take care of yourself a lot. And then, certain actors will be very generous, of course. But yeah, it's intimidating. It's, but also like they were two shows that I was such a fan of, those two particular jobs, that I was so thrilled to be there. And Mad Men was, doubly fun because like the wardrobe fitting was insane because it was putting on all these vintage clothes.
Yeah.
It was really a blast. But it's a very different experience than doing something where you're there from beginning to end.
Now, Joanna, when you guys are working on Kingdom, and you guys know the show is the superb quality, and it's something that, should be seen by so many people. Like, it should be with the Breaking Bads and the, Game of Thrones, whatever. It should be that, it. You watch it, you go, this is phenomenal. The people who did watch it. Do you guys, are you guys kind of upset that it's not getting the exposure during that time? Or are you just happy it's going, like it's going forward?
It was frustrating.
Yeah.
It was frustrating. The show was made for audience channel on DirecTV. You had to have DirecTV to be able to watch the audience channel. So, that was frustrating. Even, friends and family, I was giving out my DirecTV password all over the place. Because I wanted people to be able to watch it.
It's funny.
As we went along the way, a few things happened where, the first episode, the first season, I think when we were into the second season, the first season went up on iTunes. So then it was like, yay, you can see it on iTunes. You can see it. But then the AT&T merger happened with DirecTV, and then they took it off because they were going to start their own streamer. So it was always really hard to find and extremely frustrating for us. It's kind of crazy what's happening now because it is like it never was before, and it's thrilling to see how many people are catching on to it now.
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking to Byron, like I was saying to him, like I've been following MMA pretty avid, a lot for a good amount of years now, and I never heard of the show once. Like, I think it only popped up on Netflix because I watched a bunch of MMA and fight shows, and it's like, you may like, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll check this out, So it is pretty interesting. And I was saying to Byron, like, I think that show, it came out in 2014. If it came out in 2017, it would have been the biggest show on television. Like, because MMA just boomed. Everybody knows that there's household names now. Like, I just think it would have blew up.
Well, yeah, and we had the stamp of approval from the UFC, and we were going to fights, and a lot of all the fighters who aren't our core actors, people who they fought were actual MMA fighters, and recognizable fighters.
Cub Swanson, a bunch of guys.
Yeah. And so we were doing events in conjunction with the UFC. So people, some people in the world of it were getting, knew about it. We were getting fighters were tweeting at us, and it was really gratifying. I didn't have anything to do with the fighting, but for the guys and the trainers and the fight choreographers,
right.
It was really gratifying that they said yeah, but also they were saying yeah to the world of it.
Yeah, there's so many authentic things in there, from the weight cuts to the crap money for fights. Like it was. I thought what was cool about the show was that it wasn't focused on the UFC, the big time. It was focused on the guys trying to make their way up and that hard struggle. I think that was the best decision as far as the show.
Yeah, and even just as playing the mother of these fighters, Joe Daddy Stevenson, who was appeared in the show as a trainer at Navy Street, but he was also the technical advisor. And but he would come up to me and he'd just grab me and hold me because he's so related to my character in his family life.
We just talked to him on Monday. He was fantastic. He was really interesting.
Yeah, he's such a sweet guy. And so that was a lot of the family life thing seemed to ring true as well.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm just kind of curious now, after the show's been gone for so long now, obviously when it went on Netflix, I'm sure you're like, okay, some people will get to see the work, but did you foresee this pushback when now there's groups coming out and saying season 4, bring it back.
No, I mean, that's been wonderful. We had despite how hard it was to find in the beginning, back in 2014, we did have a very strong little fan base,
right.
Who were, very passionate about it. So and there were pages and fan pages, but to see how, I'm just the tweets are constant stream of tweets that, about bring it back. That's amazing. My own, Instagram, it's more than doubled now since July.
That's
1st.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's also, it goes back to that frustration because so few people saw it back then. And, when we finished it, it almost felt like it never happened for me personally in my career. And, I think a lot of people didn't know that I could do that role.
Yeah.
And, so now now they're seeing that.
Well, that's a good segue. I got 2 other fan questions that were kind of similar. And your role, like we talked about, is very deep and goes into some dark places and some extreme scenes. So, one question from Jenny Newman and one question from, I just want to get their names right so they know that I actually saw this.
My dog barking in the background.
My dog is part of every episode. Surprised he's not here yet.
We like dogs.
Yeah. Oh, and from the Joy on Facebook. So both of them kind of asked, and I'll combine their questions. How are, you're in some deep scenes. How are these intimate scenes shot? And they asked, is it very difficult to film nude scenes in such an intense? These aren't generally romantic nude scenes either. These are hard, emotional for the audience. I'm curious how you were able to do these.
I've always felt that if the nudity is part of telling the story,
right.
It's important to do it. As long as it's, you don't want to be it to be gratuitous,
right? But
it's part of the story. And Kristina, I mean, there's nothing prim and proper about her. She had to be a person who let it all hang out and is not ashamed of her body or in any way, and is very open and free. So that had to be an essential part of this character.
Right.
So, I was committed to doing that. Now, when you are actually shooting it, and the camera, the cameraman, the camera operator is sitting, 3 or 4 feet away from you, and you're definitely going like, does this look okay? What does this look okay? What is it, what looks better? You're trying to preserve a little bit of dignity in there, but I felt really committed to it. I think it is an essential part of our show. It really, it's the grit of the show. The show on screen. I mean, you can almost smell it.
Yeah, it's raw.
It's
raw. Yep.
Yeah, it is raw.
Mm-hmm.
So and I this was not the first time I've done nudity.
Right.
So I've been okay with it at the proper time and place.
Well, you picked a good week.
Career.
You picked a good week because usually me and Mike we do the show in the nude,
Yeah.
but we wanted to.
Yeah, our second name is the Free Ball Podcast. I guess we haven't been going into spoilers or anything, so I have to ask you the most important spoiler on earth in your career. How in the heck did Kevin McAllister be left at home for a 4th consecutive movie, out of curiosity, Joanna?
Divorce. It's he wasn't. Well, how do you get? I can't even remember. Yeah. I know it was a product of divorce. That chapter of Home Alone, which we shot in South Africa.
Really?
They CGI'd the snow. Yeah.
What? Now that is a fact I bet you no Home Alone fan knows.
No, it took place in Chicago, and we were in gorgeous Cape Town, South Africa.
That's crazy.
Of course, the two places look so similar. It makes.
Seriously, that's about 85% of why I signed on to the job.
Yeah. So. In the meantime, as far as Kingdom's doing well and whatnot, but what could fans of yours or people who are discovering you, through this interview, through the show, through things you're doing, what kinds of things have you been working on, or should fans look forward to that will be coming out eventually?
Well, there's a show. It already came out, but you can go find it on CBS All Access. I shot it last spring and summer, so it came out I think in the beginning of this year, but it's called Interrogation.
Okay.
It's if you're into forensic crime drama, it's a true life crime. It's an unsolved murder that happened in the 80s in Sherman Oaks here in California, and it remains unsolved. And the way the show is structured is 10 episodes, and each episode is an interrogation of some party to the to the murder. And so you see it through see the story through different people's eyes, and you follow along, kind of collecting information along with the detectives, and you can watch it in any order that you want to.
Really?
There's a suggested order if you don't want to do that, but it was kind of created so that you get to the end of one episode and you decide what do you want to see next? Oh, that guy was interesting to me. I want to see him next.
It's like a choose your own adventure.
It's kind of fun. Yeah. I mean, fun. I play Mary Fisher. I'm the murder victim.
Oh, so nice.
Yeah.
Joanna, this has been an absolute pleasure. You're awesome. You're immensely talented, and you even undersold yourself when you emailed me back. Like, oh, I don't know if I hold up to you. You more than held up. Really had a good time. One of the question that came from 3 different fans, I'm not even going to go into all their names, but you could probably guess what I'm going to ask, is if they came knocking and they said season 4 was a possibility, if Netflix is going to produce one, are you on board?
100%.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And will you climb into the octagon for season 4?
Imagine they just totally jump the shark
even.
and she becomes a fighter.
We're going to lose the gym if she doesn't get into the ring.
I could certainly use the training after 6 months in quarantine, so I need a little weight cut. So,
Joanna, thank you so much. If people want to check you out or follow you or see what's going on, what's the best place for them to go?
Instagram is Joanna Going, and Twitter is Joanna Going 1, number 1.
Awesome. Joanna, thank you so much. Stay safe during all this, and we hope to see you on the screen soon.
Thank you so much. This was fun. Thank you.
Pleasure.
All right, Joanna Going. What a sweet lady. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
it's weird talking about a sweet lady and seeing what she did on the show.
Yeah. You know, what a sweet lady. Then you turn on the next episode and she's like buck naked doing heroin, you know. But
Yeah.
Could you
just like grandma used to do.
Could you get into would you be comfortable getting nude on a show for let's say you were getting paid, let's say it was your first acting role, Mike, and everybody who gets into comedy and things like that always has a thought of acting might be kind of fun, Mike, you were on ID Discovery,
I was
which what was the show? It was
I think it was called I Almost Got Away with It.
Right. Yeah. So one of those murder shows that women just watch at home and think about killing their husbands and whatnot. But
pretty much.
So you do have a nice IMB credit and whatnot. And so let's say you were getting a day rate. I don't know, as an early actor. What would it take for you to get nude on a show? Would you be okay with it?
I guess one question is, since there's two different sides, ladies, we can pretty much see everything. Guys, all they do is the butt shot. Or so are we going by the general rule they're just going to show my butt?
All right, well, let's go in scales here, okay?
Right.
The first one is just, a nice butt shot, a nice close-up of Mike's rear end.
I mean, couple grand, I guess. I mean,
I think I'd be okay with it. I really...
Yeah.
I'm not that bad with the nudity. Not that bad.
Mean, I feel... Since I've been working out more, I'm not going to say I got an extraordinary body, but at least I feel more comfortable with my body. Where
no, you're not saying you have an extraordinary body, but you have an extraordinary butt, is what you're saying to our audience.
Well, not extraordinary butt, but enough where it's. I'm not going to sit back and people are going to go, "What the hell am I looking at?"
So why did you start that Instagram, Burlow's butt pics, that you told me not to release to the public yet?
Well, I mean, we don't know where the economy is going to be a year from now, so I got to think of the spare cash before the trends start happening. So,
Burlow, I hate to break it to you, but Instagram, there's a lot of butt on Instagram for a long, long time now. In fact, people make their living just showing their butt.
Oh, so you're saying there is competition out there? Oh,
yes.
But,
I think you're late
the
to
internet in general. You think I'd be the first butt on the internet?
Well, I'm saying Instagram I think plenty of women, especially, have made quite a living just showing their butt on the old Instagram machine.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird how easy that occurred. I mean, it's kind of weird how they start a site and then a few months later, all of a sudden you're worth $500,000 because it's well, I got X amount of followers, but I still never really figured out magically. Okay, so let's say I have 50,000 followers. How's that equate to I'm worth this amount?
I think it's all sponsorship, like the bathing suit you're wearing or the photographer you're using. Maybe you tag him. I think it's people paying you to be an influencer. So Burlow's butt pics takes off, and they're like, Burlow, we want you to wear that NASCAR jacket that's behind you right now, but just have your butt just sticking out of it. We'll pay you X amount to put it out there.
See, that would be sexy. Me just like being completely naked, but the jacket would cover up like my front side, and then only my butt is showing, and I got my finger up to my mouth, like, ooh, I might be doing something naughty. But
we just lost. You know, we're building a little audience over the last few weeks. All this momentum, we have just definitely it went right out the window. But please take that photo and post it on our Instagram. Okay?
Hey, when Shenanigans Showdown comes back, and I get a crisp 20 points for that, I'll do it.
What was it been 3 years since we've been saying to bring that back?
Yeah. It was the year-long competition, which was brought up maybe 6 times during the year.
Yeah. We started off on fire, and then I petered out. I tried to get some at the end, and then it completely petered out by like October. I would say it was completely gone. But
yeah, I made sure going into that last day you had to do something insane to beat me.
Yep. Now, what about full frontal nudity? Okay, so now we're stepping it up a game. Are you still okay? Like, okay, you're just gonna get the role, so you're just gonna do it, or you got to be paid a little bit of extra?
I'm gonna need a decent paycheck for that.
All right, give me your weekly rate. I'm making a film called I don't know, Naughty Podcasters, right? And
okay.
and I'm hiring you for the week. You know, you got a minor part. You're gonna do like you have like 5 minutes on screen, and 2 minutes of that you know is going to be you nude.
Me hanging dong.
Hanging. So what's your weekly rate? Like I'm working with your agent right now. Like, okay, for Mike to sign this role, what do you need to get paid?
I would probably say $250,000.
$250,000? Wow, you have a very pricey dong there.
I mean, once it's
250 grand to you. So you're just entering the film world, and you're getting $250 just to hang dong.
Well, I mean, you want me to? It's
for
not,
a week. Now I just blew my whole budget on the movie on just you.
Hey, it's not my fault you don't know how to budget when you have this kind of talent.
See, I thought for sure you're going to be like 10 grand would be okay.
Nah, I mean, once it's out there, it's out there. So it's like I can't go back to regular stuff after I do that.
Why not? Why not? What if it's just an innocent scene, like a locker room scene? Like you're just walking around like the guys do at the gym, you know? I mean, I don't got $250,000 in my budget, but I got a nice shiny 10 grand for you.
Nah, it's got to be more than 10 grand.
I'd do it for 10. I'd do it for 10 right now.
You do it for 10?
Yeah, I'm not really. Yeah, the nudity doesn't bother me that much, and especially, I don't know if it's going to be a big film. I could be maybe my IMDb could say nude guy number 2, and I got some money in the bank. It's not bad. I think we're a little too sensitive about nudity.
Nah, it's just my take on it. And you can get my butt cheap and all, but dong, you better get the loans signed up.
All right, so you heard it here first, guys. For a workman's wage, you can get Burlow's butt, but you flip them around, you better have bills to pay. You better got stacks on stacks on stacks, man.
Yeah, I mean,
me,
the stuff here. No, I don't want like my mom calling me up and all. So I was on HBO last night, Michael.
Now,
I was bragging to all the neighbors how my son was in this new movie.
I was going to say she wouldn't be proud of you if you landed a nude role. She'd be completely mad at you.
I feel with my mom, she would like tell me, well, what are you going to do after that? I mean, she's one of those that's like, if you do something, by rule, the world ends kind of things and all. It's like,
yeah.
I mean, she would be the one, if I got suspended, I would hear, I'll never get a job kind of deal.
It's actually a great idea for a podcast, just interviewing people who were nude on film and like how they did that and what their experience was like. It's a pretty interesting podcast. But
how many people could be out there? Because again, I'll be the first person to put my butt out there. So,
well, you heard it here, guys. If you want me, pony up your 10 grand. If you want Mike, you better be you got big pockets. You better have. Well,
yeah, you gotta be like that sleazy kind of millionaire where it's like you text me at midnight. It's like, I got the money. Get over here.
It's got to happen in the wee hours of the morning. Like it's got to be dark out, and it's got to be at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And speaking of lewd acts, did you see the latest news about your boy Odell Beckham?
My boy.
I don't know. It felt nice. Felt nice to say that.
He was on your team, my friend. Let's get that straight. I heard it. I mean, it's always a weird thing where like somebody comes out and says blah blah is into this,
right?
And you have to go out there and have a press conference to talk about. No, I do not like Dookie on my chest, kind of deals, you know.
Yeah, I don't believe it. As weird as Odell Beckham is, and how out there he is, and he's had some controversy around him his whole career. I think it's some girls on this podcast just like BSing and trying to get a clip out there that'll be crazy and gone viral, which it did. They will be shortly forgotten. Like this doesn't last. Like if we said that and we went viral, that doesn't grab like, oh, we got to tune in this week for more things. It's not. It's just let's throw a bunch of memes and jokes out there, and that'll follow that guy around for a while. And if you're him, I think the approach is just to laugh at him and be like, this is just ridiculous, you know? And if it is true, I mean, I guess what he's into is his business, but I don't believe it, actually.
All right. So going back to our old conversation. So I'm like, okay, Scott, I got the checkbook open. Here's what I want to do. And you got to do the OBJ.
Can I like dye the middle of my hair blonde and put a Browns jersey on so it's like a comical piece?
No. Everybody's got to know it's like the cover will be Scott Brennan.
Because I think if I pretended I was Odell, it could be a viral clip, like it could be a funny clip. But as Scott Brennan, that might be, Mike, in more your pay territory.
Yeah.
That is disgusting and horrific. So, I'm gonna say let's go with your $250, your $250,000 for that one.
Yeah, that will be only $10,000 for me, but I digress. No, yeah, I mean, it's weird. Once those rumors start, like you can never get like anybody Googles anything right now about you, it's immediately going to be that story. The podcast it comes from, it's hard to say their sources or whatever because that's the same podcast that basically a girl said she had oral sex with the entire Phoenix Suns team.
It seems like that kind of let's just throw something crazy out there. I don't believe any of it, to be honest.
And one that was into peeing on her and whatever. It's I mean, I guess each your own, but
yeah,
I couldn't fathom being into it just on the fact I'd be petrified. Some girl would be going out there saying, "Hey, you know what he wanted me to do?"
Yeah, I think. Listen, I'm not a big Beckham fan, but I do think maybe he's a guy that was so out there and so I don't know, egotistical and flamboyant and whatnot, that a lot of stories are going to be made up about that guy for a long time. Like, I almost feel bad for him in a way, because the guy is a God-given talent. He's had some rough years as far as his health and getting used to, but I feel bad when like, listen, you hate a guy as far as a sports player, but then it just goes like, as an athlete, then it just goes like too far. And you're like, all right, like, does this guy deserve that? That's a pretty bad one, man.
Yeah, and he's had a lot of rumors. Like, there was a while there was questions if he was gay, if I recall.
Yep.
OBJ. And, I mean, and what really hurts him is he seems to be a very sensitive type of guy and all, because, I mean, he had that crazy rookie season. And then the corners just started talking smack to him, and then he's
emotional, very emotional.
Just got lower and lower, and then he was getting into fights and penalties. That whole thing with Josh Norman.
Yep.
I mean, it was getting unreal. I mean, I'm not going to knock him if that's what he's into. And that's not my cup of tea whatsoever. And if he is into it, it's almost a shame some girl just goes out there and blabs his business when, I mean, he didn't do it. I mean, it's one thing if he like slapped her or something like that. It's like, all right, you want to be like that? Let me get back to you. But yeah, I mean, what there can you really say? Once it's out there, everybody's going to think it. I mean, the Cleveland Steamer shirts are all out there, and if fans get into a stadium this year, he's going to hear a couple things.
Yeah, and he's the guy, like, these kind of things and these kind of stories and these kind of rumors and the constant media all over him. He's the kind of guy like that kind of attention will ruin his career, which arguably it's definitely taken a downfall over the last 3 years. He's the kind of guy that will pay attention to it and get involved in it and get upset by it and respond to it. And I don't think he's a guy that can block it all out. That's what I think.
No, he doesn't seem to have mental toughness. I mean, something like that, it's kind of hard to be mentally tough. I mean, I guess you gotta be a real man. Somebody say, "Oh, you want me to get my girl and go crap on you or something like that?" Or I guess they got some better whack talk than me, but yeah. That's why my career as a quarterback never worked out.
Yeah, his price just dropped in the nude scene, guys. If you need Mike, he'll do it for $400 and a Subway sandwich.
But on a side note, it's really weird that football's starting tomorrow.
Very strange. Very strange. It doesn't feel like it.
No build-up whatsoever. I mean, I know we've been hearing the practice and all that, and Lord knows none of us wanted 4 or 5 weeks of preseason. But at the same time, it's almost like, oh, yeah, the Chiefs are playing tomorrow, and it's
the only reason weird. I'm kind of even into it a little bit is because I done my fantasy football drafts, and that's kind of gotten me in the mood. But other than that, it's the same thing like baseball. I really haven't watched much, which is weird for me. Hockey, I really haven't watched. Like, I haven't really regripped back onto the sport since they come back. Other than the MMA, I've kind of been watching, but the other ones, I'm just kind of like, I'll check the scores, and it just hasn't really grabbed me that much. But
It's also weird, like, all of them are piping in the sounds. I almost want to hear that quietness to make it unique about it. I mean, especially football. I would love to hear, like a real great open field tackle, like the thud of it. And
the problem with football is the language you're going to get from, like, you just watch any episode of, what's the show on HBO? Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's going to be like that times 50, like that's where they're going to have the problem on national television, which I'm assuming, which is some of the reason they might do it for like basketball and other things, close contact kind of sports, because there's a lot of trash talk that goes on that we don't hear. But
speaking of like audience stuff or whatever, did you hear about what the WWE did?
No.
Or like, so what they did is they rented out an arena. And they have like HD TV boards all over the arena, and like fans log in and they get their face, kind of like what the NBA does, and they have pictures on there, and I'm guessing they pipe in like canned kind of cheers or whatever, but they kind of give the mood of it. But they've had to play around with it because in the first 2 weeks. One person put up a picture instead of their face. They put Chris Benoit up on the screen.
I saw that. Yeah.
And then another guy put a KKK outfit on and watched Raw. So they've had to monitor it a little bit.
They gotta screen that a little bit. It takes one guy to look through, a couple hundred photos. It's not that hard. The intern can do that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Worst offense, KKK or Chris Benoit on your television?
I got to go KKK. You know why? Because the Chris Benoit, at least there's some wrestling nerd that thinks that's funny because it's wrestling. It's at least related. The KKK, it's just you're being a complete idiot. You're being a racist douchebag. So, so worst offense. But Chris Benoit, not much further behind that. But, Burlou, let's get out of here. I think it's time to go. Good episode tonight with Joanna Going. So go check her out. Burlo, anything to promote before we roll on out of here?
I'm going to promote a YouTube channel called Kristina Eats Kilos. Her name is Kristina Eats Kilos, yes. And she does a bunch of food challenges on her site and all. She's a sweet little girl who does these food challenges. As kind of a throwback to why I'm promoting it is just recently it was announced that she and a former guest of ours, Randy Santel, are kind of a couple right now. So congratulations to those little two kitties. But she does her own video. She recently did an Alaska tour with Randy Santel where they met and kind of let the magic start. But check it out on YouTube. Her channel name is Kristina Eats Kilos.
Randy must really love her because imagine picking up that tab at the restaurant, like taking her out to dinner, like, oh, Jesus Christ, we'll take 87 hot dogs between the two of us.
Yeah, like the parents are like paying, if they end up getting married, man, oof, that bill is going to be outrageous.
They'll have they'll eat their whole cake instead of a slice.
Can we have some? No, this is a great video.
I will promote quickly a comic friend of mine, Glenn Tickle. Yes, that's his real name. Glenn Tickle, very funny comic. He actually has a special on Amazon Prime. He put out a special about his brother passed away a couple years ago, and he did a whole special on that. But I'm actually promoting something new he's putting up. It's called Jerk, the magazine. He's starting a magazine that you subscribe to, other people, because you think they're jerks. So you literally buy a magazine, and he sends a full magazine to this person's house and writes about jerks and how they're jerks. So it's something interesting. It's getting off the ground. He has a GoFundMe right now. So go check out Jerk, ! The magazine, and maybe we'll bring him on to ask him what it's actually all about. So
he was on another show before, if I recall.
Yes, he was on to promote. I think he might have been on to promote the special. I don't know.
It was a while ago.
Long time
Definitely
ago.
Was.
But yes, Glenn was on the show. So really, very funny comedian. So other than that, guys, I want to thank Joanna Going for the interview. We have a whole bunch of other stuff coming up, but what you can do for us is listen, subscribe, and follow us on social media. Always fun. Good to be back. We got plenty more coming ahead. In the meantime, go listen to our other episodes if you enjoyed this, and most importantly, leave us a review on iTunes. That helps us get populated and gets us up in the charts and all those things. So, guys, life is funny. Laugh at it. Keep the wind at your back. Bye-bye.
Send the checks.